Do you want to have free electricity for life? Of course you do. Who wouldn't? And that's the promise that comes along with any sales pitch for home solar, right? $0 electricity bills, freedom from the grid, and unlimited sustainable energy. But if home solar was so great and so easy, then everyone would be doing it. But they're not. And as the poster company for sustainable energy, you would kind of expect Tesla to be leading the charge towards solar power. But they're not. In fact, Tesla Solar is in a steep decline. It has been for years. Today, we're going to tell you why. I feel like most people kind of forgot that Tesla Solar was even a thing anymore, or maybe just assumed that the whole division had been shut down quietly sometime in the past 3 years. But then, one of the most popular YouTubers in the world, Marques Brownlee, or MKBHD, drops a half-hour video about his experience with the Tesla Solar Roof, and it quickly racks up millions upon millions of views. And the basic premise of the video is that through a combination of the Tesla Solar Roof and Powerwall system, Marques was able to reduce his electricity bill down to $0 per month for 1 entire year. Now, there are a few interesting things to consider here. For one, even by MKBHD standards, this video performed spectacularly well, so it proves that a very large number of people are interested in Tesla Solar and home-based solar energy. So there is no shortage of customers for this service. And two, we get a very reputable voice in the tech world speaking from a place of experience about the Tesla Solar Roof, which is important because there are so few Tesla Solar Roofs out there in the world, and the majority of the content that you'll find is either coming from an Elon Musk fanboy or some cringy influencer family channel, or the people who literally get paid to install the product. So of course, they are going to tell you that it's amazing. Or you might find a video from someone who thinks that Elon Musk is the stupidest idiot in the world, and of course, they're going to tell you that Tesla sucks. But MKBHD has built an empire off of brutally honest and thoroughly detailed tech reviews. In an industry absolutely jam-packed with shills, Marques is considered to be about as legit as it gets. And after 1 year of real-world use and meticulous data collection, it turns out that Tesla's Solar Roof and Powerwall battery system delivers pretty much everything that was promised. Yeah, no big YouTube drama to be found here. The product just works. And that's particularly impressive considering that Marques lives in New Jersey, a place where it gets hot in the summer and cold in the winter and receives a fair amount of snow. Still nowhere near as extreme as the weather we experience up here in Canada, but a fair test for the system. We know that the Tesla Solar Roof was designed in California, and most of the people who have had the system installed on their house seem to also live in California or some other southern US location that is obviously going to be an ideal climate for solar panels to perform at their absolute best. So in theory, this all looks fantastic, but it's when we start to dive into the practical side of the business that things start to get weird, and we run into a lot of numbers that just don't make much sense. We know that Tesla is a very successful company. We know that the Tesla Solar Roof is a very popular product that literally millions of people are interested in. We have credible reports that Tesla Solar and Powerwall units are good products that perform as advertised. So all of the ingredients are there for a massively successful product. These things should be printing money for Tesla right now, but they're not. If we go to the financial reports, looking just at numbers on paper, Tesla Solar is a massive failure. Solar deployment is the only line item on Tesla's financial report that is not growing substantially. In the second quarter of 2023, Tesla Solar actually declined by a significant margin, with installations falling 38% as compared to the same period last year, and down a total of 14% in year-to-date installations versus 2022. And this is indicative of a larger trend that we've been observing with Tesla Solar for years now. Ever since the company acquired SolarCity in a massively controversial buyout that moved $2.6 billion into the pockets of Elon Musk's cousins in exchange for a struggling solar energy provider. This deal was later ruled in court to have been fair to Tesla and its stockholders, but that doesn't mean it wasn't a little sketchy. If we look at a chart that shows delivery numbers for Tesla vehicles year over year, we can see a very obvious trend of extreme growth. If we look at a similar chart for Tesla energy deployments, that means Powerwalls, Power Packs, and Megapacks, we can see that these numbers fluctuate a little bit depending on supply constraints and manufacturing capacity. But the charts still show an obvious trend towards growth. If we do the same for Tesla Solar, now all of a sudden we get something that looks totally different. We can see that the largest number of Tesla Solar deployments by far came in 2017, the first year that SolarCity assets were being operated under the Tesla name. But after just 6 months, the business went into a steep decline in productivity. By the fourth quarter of 2017, Tesla was delivering only half the amount of solar panels that they had in the second quarter of the same year. Going into 2018, the numbers continue to decline. Then they fall off big time in 2019. Obviously, 2020 was a struggle for everyone, and Tesla Solar kind of bounces back post-pandemic and has a couple of respectable years in 2021 and 2022. But we're already seeing that growth curve reverse in the first half of 2023, and we are still nowhere even close to just matching the productivity from way back in the year 2017. So that's not good. And if any other legitimate business were looking at these numbers over the course of 6 years, then they'd be taking steps to shut it down. In their financial report for Q2 2022, Tesla blames the decline in solar deployment on high interest rates, which is fair. That's definitely a problem that is affecting a lot of people right now. But that's still not exactly a legitimate explanation, because even with inflation and interest rates where they are right now, there has never been a better time to buy solar panels. Let's take a closer look at the numbers. The average cost for rooftop solar panels has declined by over 50% in just the past 10 years, and this is largely thanks to decreasing material costs, so the profit margin for solar producers is still being maintained. They're simply passing on lower operating costs to the consumer, which is fantastic. That's the way the free market is supposed to work. And on top of that, the federal government in the United States is offering a new tax credit under the Inflation Reduction Act to offset 30% of the cost for residential solar installations. Then there's the added benefit of having your electricity bill disappear. Going back to MKBHD, he showed off the numbers to prove that even in a location that has a snowy, overcast winter season for half the year, he was still able to get his net electricity cost down to zero for a full 365 days. So even in the months where his Tesla solar roof did not produce enough energy to fully support his usage and the house had to pull energy from the grid, all of that cost was offset by energy credits that carried over from the months where his solar roof overproduced energy and actually sold excess electricity back to the grid. So when you add everything up, even with the slightly troubling economic times that we are experiencing brought into consideration, Tesla Solar should be thriving right now. But they're not. So in trying to find some legitimate explanation for this problem that in my mind just doesn't really make any sense, I started turning to the possibility that this whole solar panel thing is literally just too good to be true. Maybe it's all just a big scam. And I found another great video on YouTube from Jake Tran called Home Solar Panels Are Literally a Scam. So beyond just providing some confirmation bias, that video definitely helped to shed some light on the dark side of the solar panel business. We don't really have this in Canada for obvious reasons, snow, but apparently in the US, there is a big problem with high-pressure, door-to-door sales for rooftop solar, and a lot of people are getting fleeced into thinking that they can be just like MKBHD and pay $0 for their electricity. All they have to do is make a monthly payment on some fancy new solar panels. Now, of course, these solar panel lease agreements end up costing as much or more than the electricity bill, plus the debt can end up destroying your credit rating and devaluing your house. And on top of that, these people still end up paying for electricity because just sticking solar panels to your roof is not enough to magically separate your home from the grid full time. So it's definitely understandable why home solar might have a negative connotation attached to it in the US, and that's probably been really detrimental to the entire solar industry, and it's obviously not doing any good things for Tesla. But the Tesla Solar Roof and these door-to-door solar scams are not really in the same ballpark. The crook who shows up at your door is just taking generic garbage product from AliExpress and flipping it for a massively overinflated profit margin, while the Tesla Solar Roof is a premium product and it does come at a premium price. So maybe this is the issue. Even if the Tesla product does deliver everything it promises with no scams involved, it's just too damn expensive and too niche to ever be genuinely successful. Going back to the review from Marquez, he shows us all of the money that he saved with his Tesla system, but he is also very upfront about the money that he spent in order to achieve a $0 electricity bill. And for his particular setup, on a fairly average suburban house, Marquez spent over $120,000 on his solar roof and 3 power walls, which was offset by a federal tax credit that brought the net cost down to just under $93,000. So that's expensive, and it does draw attention to one big point here that we need to stress. Can you go fully off-grid with a Tesla solar roof? No. Can you do it with a Tesla solar roof and a fat stack of Powerwall batteries? Yes. Now, is that expense worth the payoff? MKBHD calculated his annual electricity cost at over $9,600 per year, which is higher than average because he obviously has a lot of tech in his home, he has 2 high-capacity air conditioning units, and he recharges his Tesla Model S with its 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. But keep in mind that eventually everyone is going to be driving an electric car, and we're all going to need high-powered air conditioning just to survive the summers on our quickly deteriorating planet. So you might scoff at spending 10 grand a year on electricity, but that's the direction that we are all headed. So in this high-usage case scenario, Marquez calculated that he'll actually break even on the full cost of his Tesla system in just 9.6 years, and with a 25-year warranty period on the Tesla solar roof, that's essentially buying yourself 15 years of free electricity, which at his current usage rate of around $9,600 per year, the Tesla solar roof would actually generate a net profit of around $144,000 over 25 years. So that brings us back to our original question: what is the truth about Tesla Solar? Well, Tesla Solar is a very good product that seems to deliver on some big promises and will literally pay for itself in the medium term and then actually pay you to own it in the long term. So I think that's what most people would qualify as a good investment. But on the other hand, and this remains baffling to me, Tesla Solar is a failing business that is in absolute shambles, is incapable of growth or actually being profitable to operate, and has such a spectacularly low level of productivity that your chances of actually being able to buy one for yourself, even if you can afford it 5 times over, it might take years for you actually to receive a finished roof. I wish I could make that make sense for you and me right now, but I guess we're just going to have to leave it there. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below and stay tuned. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this, please consider supporting us directly on Patreon and hit the like button. If content like this starts to perform well for us, then we can continue to make a lot more high quality videos for you in the future.